This is you. You are 17 years old, sitting in a limestone cistern in the middle of the wilderness. It smells like stagnant water and fear. Your own brothers just sold you for 20 pieces of silver. That's the standard market rate for a teenage slave. You aren't a brother anymore. You are a line item on a receipt. You are being trafficked to a foreign land. But you have a terrifying talent. You can decode the future. And you're about to use it to corner the global food market. Let's rewind. You didn't start as a boss. You started as the ultimate Nepo baby. You are the 11th son, but the firstborn of your father's favorite wife, Rachel. While your 10 older brothers are out sleeping in the dirt and fighting off wolves to protect the family assets, you are at home. Your father gives you a coat. The Ketanet Passim. In the ancient Near East, working men wear short tunics so they can move. A long coat with long sleeves? That's a management uniform. It says, I don't work with my hands, I supervise those who do. And you lean into it. You don't just wear the coat, you bring bad reports about your brothers back to dad. You are basically internal affairs for the family business. You have main character syndrome. You have dreams, literal dreams from God, where your brother's sheaves of wheat bow down to yours. And because you have zero social awareness, you tell them about it. One day, you will all submit to me. Big mistake. Envy is a slow poison, and your brothers have been drinking it for years. One day, your dad sends you to check on them at Dothan, about 60 miles north. You walk right into the kill zone. They see the coat coming from a mile away. Here comes the dreamer, they say. They jump you. They strip off the designer coat, the symbol of your authority. They throw you in a dry well. They sit down to eat lunch while you scream for help from the dark. Cold. Then they see a caravan of Ishmaelites on the Via Maris trade route, heading to Egypt with spices and balm. Judah, your older brother, does the math. What profit is it if we kill him? Let's sell him. They pull you up. They exchange you for silver. You are tied to a camel. You watch the hills of Canaan disappear. You aren't the favorite son anymore. You are inventory. You survive the journey across the Sinai Desert and arrive in Egypt. To a nomad from Canaan, this isn't just a different country, it's a different planet. You are walking into the most advanced civilization on Earth. The pyramids at Giza are already 1,000 years old. The Nile Delta is the breadbasket of the world. The economy is massive, centralized, and powered by a bureaucracy so complex it makes modern corporations look simple. You are dragged to the slave market, likely in a city like Memphis or Avaris. You are stripped, inspected like livestock, and sold. The buyer isn't a farmer looking for field hands, it's Potiphar. His title in Hebrew is Sar HaTabachim, literally, Chief of the Executioners. In the Egyptian court, he is the captain of the bodyguard. He runs the secret police. He manages the state prison. He is the man who makes the pharaoh's problems disappear. Most slaves in your position break. They do the bare minimum to avoid the whip. But you realize that even in slavery, there is a hierarchy. You have a brain wired for systems. You learn the language, not just speaking it, but the complex hieratic script used for accounting. You don't just scrub floors. You start auditing the household logistics. You notice the kitchen staff is skimming 15% off the top of the grain shipments. You notice the livestock feed is being wasted. You realize Potiphar's estate is bleeding money in inefficiencies. And you are the only one who sees it. Potiphar notices. He realizes you aren't just labor, you're management material. In a society obsessed with order, ma'at, competence is the ultimate currency. He promotes you. Then he promotes you again. Soon, you aren't cleaning. You are the overseer, the merper. You are the COO of a massive conglomerate that includes farmland, livestock, textile workshops, and hundreds of personnel. You manage the accounts. You hold the keys to the treasury. You have authority over men who were born free. You proved that if you make yourself indispensable, even a slave can rule the house. For a moment, you think you've hacked the system, but high status in a foreign land attracts high-level threats. Enter Potiphar's wife. In Egyptian society, noble women wield immense power. They own property, they initiate lawsuits, and they run the domestic empire while their husbands are at court. She is bored, she is entitled, and she has decided you are her new project. She starts pressuring you, not once, but day after day. It's a siege. Lie with me, she demands. Pause, do the risk assessment. This is the ultimate hostile work environment. If you say yes, you might gain a powerful ally, but you become a pawn in a game you can't control. More importantly, You betray the one man who gave you a shot. You tell her straight, "My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" You aren't just refusing a hookup, you are drawing a moral line in the sand. But she waits for the tactical opening. None of the men of the house were within. She likely engineered this, sending the servants away on errands. You walk into the house to do your accounting, and you are alone with her. It's an ambush. She grabs you by your garment, likely a fine linen robe that signifies your rank as overseer. You have a split-second choice: compromise or flee. You pull a tactical retreat, you twist out of the garment and run out of the house naked or in your undergarments. You leave the evidence in her hand. Fatal error. She weaponizes the rejection instantly. She calls the men of the house, the same men you've been managing who probably resent your success. She plays the race card to turn them against you. See? He has brought in a Hebrew to mock us. She frames you as the predator. When Potiphar comes home, she presents the physical evidence. Your coat. Potiphar has to make a choice. His anger burns, but notice what he doesn't do. In ancient Egypt, the penalty for a slave attempting to rape a noblewoman is immediate execution, often beheading or impalement. But Potiphar doesn't kill you. Why? Maybe he knows his wife's character. Maybe he knows you too well. But he has to save face. He can't let this slide publicly. Instead of the executioner's block, he throws you into the roundhouse, the king's prison. This isn't a local jail. It's a high-security facility for state prisoners. You go from the penthouse to the basement. You kept your integrity, and it cost you everything. You are back at zero. Welcome to the Sohar, the roundhouse. This isn't a county jail. This is a supermax facility for the king's political enemies. You are surrounded by failed coup plotters, disgraced generals, and spies. It's dark, it's damp, and it smells like despair. But here is where your main character energy really kicks in. You don't sit in the corner and cry about the unfairness. You start organizing. You win over the chief jailer. He realizes you have a gift for administration that transcends your shackles. Before long, you aren't just an inmate. You're the unofficial prison administrator. You are running the block. The warden trusts you so much he stops checking the logs. You are the CEO of the gulag. Then, two high-value targets get tossed in your cell: the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Don't let the titles fool you. These aren't kitchen staff. In the Egyptian court, the cupbearer is the head of security for the king's food supply, the guy who ensures nobody poisons the pharaoh. The baker runs the royal supply chain. These are cabinet-level officials who annoyed the pharaoh. One night, they both have vivid nightmares. In the ancient world, dreams aren't random neurons firing. They are unread emails from the gods. They are terrified because they can't decode the message. They tell you, "We had a dream, and there is nobody here to explain it." Most men would guess. You don't. You look them in the eye and say, "Interpretations don't belong to me. They belong to God. Tell me what you saw." You aren't claiming to be a wizard. You are claiming to be a conduit. You realize that God is giving you the intel. You listen. You decode the message. The cupbearer's dream about pressing grapes into Pharaoh's cup, it means he gets reinstated in 3 days. The baker's dream about birds eating bread from a basket on his head, that's much darker. In Egyptian iconography, birds eating flesh is a sign of cursed death, destruction of the body so it can't enter the afterlife. It means he's getting executed, beheaded and impaled. In 3 days, you give it to them straight. No sugarcoating. You ask the cupbearer for one strategic favor, but remember me when things go well for you, mention my name to Pharaoh. You are asking for a pardon. You are networking for your life. 3 days later, it's Pharaoh's birthday. Your predictions come true, 100%. The baker loses his head, the cupbearer gets his job back, standing right next to the king. And what does the cupbearer do for you? He forgets you exist. The text says, "Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him." You rot in that cell for 2 more agonizing years. The networking failed, you are alone. 2 full years pass. That's 730 days of staring at a stone wall. The cupbearer is back in the palace, drinking wine, while you are still eating prison gruel. You are 30 years old now. You've spent your entire 20s, your prime years, in slavery or prison. Then, the economy is about to crash, but only the CEO of Egypt, Pharaoh, knows it. He has a nightmare: 7 fat, healthy cows coming out of the Nile, being eaten alive by 7 skeletal, starving cows. Then, 7 healthy ears of corn swallowed by 7 withered ones. He calls in the magicians and wise men, the PhDs, the experts, the occultists. They look at the data, and they got nothing. Panic sets in. If the pharaoh is unstable, the empire is unstable. Finally, the cupbearer clears his throat. "Apologies, my king," he says. "I made a mistake. There's a young Hebrew guy in the dungeon, a former servant of the captain of the guard. He can crack this. He did it for me." They drag you out of the hole, but you can't walk into the Oval Office looking like a bum. Egyptians are obsessed with hygiene. Beards are for barbarians. You get a shave, head and face, and fresh linen. You walk into the throne room. Pharaoh looks at you and says, "I've heard you can interpret dreams." This is the moment. You could lie, you could take the credit and negotiate a release, but you don't. You look the most powerful man on earth in the eye and say, "I can't do that. That's above my pay grade." But God? He'll give you the answer of peace. You credit the source immediately. Pharaoh tells you the dream. You listen. You realize God is giving you the download in real time. You tell him the cows and the corn are the same dream. God is showing you the market forecast. You are looking at 7 years of a massive bull market. Record harvest. Bumper crops. But it's going to be followed by 7 years of a depression so bad you will forget the good times ever happened. The famine will consume the land. You saw it twice because it's a done deal. God has signed the contract, and he is executing it immediately. Most people would stop there, but you aren't just a prophet. You're an administrator. You don't just identify the problem, you pitch the solution. You tell him, you need to find a discerning, wise man and put him in charge. You need to tax the harvest at 20%. Take up the 5th part of the land during the good years. Build massive silos. Centralize the grain. When the crash comes, the state will be the only liquidity provider in the market. That's how you keep the nation from dying. Silence in the court. You just told the king how to run his country. But Pharaoh realizes something. He asks his staff, "Can we find anyone else like this? A man who actually has the Spirit of God in him?" He looks at you. "Since God has shown you all this, there is nobody as smart or wise as you. You are in charge of my house. Only on the throne will I be greater than you." He takes the signet ring, the unlimited credit card of the empire, and puts it on your finger. In 1 hour, you go from inmate to prime minister. You just successfully IPO'd your life. The forecast hits. 7 years of plenty. You build massive silos in every city. You store millions of tons of wheat, so much that you stop counting because it's like the sand of the sea. Then, the crash comes. The famine is global. People are starving in Canaan, in Libya, everywhere. But in Egypt, thanks to your foresight, there is bread. People come to buy. First, they pay with silver. When the money runs out, they pay with livestock. When the livestock is gone, they sell their land and themselves. You consolidate the entire nation's wealth under the crown. You saved the world from starvation, but you also fundamentally changed the economy, making the pharaoh the absolute owner of the means of production. You are the most powerful vizier in history. Then, a group of ragged men show up from Canaan. It's your brothers, the same guys who sold you. They bow down to you, face to the floor, fulfilling the dream from when you were young. They don't recognize you. You are 39 now, speaking Egyptian, wearing the gold of the court, and speaking through a translator. You could kill them, nobody would stop you. But you need to know if they are still the same monsters. You test them. You accuse them of being spies. You demand they bring your youngest brother Benjamin, the only other son of your mother Rachel. You plant a silver cup in Benjamin's bag to frame him, just to see if the other brothers will abandon him like they abandoned you. The guards find the cup. The brothers are terrified. But instead of running, they all return. Judah, the very brother who had the idea to sell you, steps forward. He offers himself as a slave in Benjamin's place. "Take me instead," he says. "My father will die if the boy doesn't return." They passed the test. They learned loyalty. They learned sacrificial love. You break down. You can't hold the mask anymore. You clear the room of Egyptians. You weep so loud the household of Pharaoh hears it. You tell them, "I am Joseph." They are terrified. They think you are about to execute them for treason. But you tell them the ultimate truth. You meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive. You realize the pit, the slavery, the prison, it was all a divine covert operation to position you here, right now, to save civilization. You move the whole family, 70 people, to Goshen, the best real estate in Egypt. You won the game. You beat the system. You went from the pit to the palace. But standing here, looking at your brothers, the men who stole your youth, you realize the real victory wasn't the power. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the revenge you could have taken. The victory was that you didn't let the darkness inside you. Most men who go through what you went through, trafficking, false accusations, prison, they come out bitter. They come out broken. They become the very monsters they hated. But you broke the cycle. Your great-grandfather Abraham lied out of fear. Your father Jacob deceived his brother for a blessing. Your brothers sold you for silver. Deception was in your DNA. But you chose to speak the truth. You chose to forgive. You tell them the one thing that changes history. You meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good. You realize now that your trauma wasn't a tomb. It was a training ground. The pit taught you resilience. Potiphar's house taught you management. The prison taught you patience. God wasn't ignoring you. He was building you. He was forging a man strong enough to carry the weight of the world without being crushed by it. You saved the world from starvation. Yes, but more importantly, you saved your family from themselves. You proved that while you can't control what people do to you, you have absolute power over who you become because of it. Your story is proof that no pit is too deep for God to reach down into. If you're in a prison season right now, keep working. The palace is coming. Subscribe if you're ready for the next level.